What's good, everyone? It's the 20th of September, 2024. Welcome back. My name is Derek, and in this video, we're going to talk about the unprecedented feat in Major League Baseball that was accomplished last night when Shohei Ohtani both stole his 50th base and hit his 50th home run, becoming the first and only member of MLB's 50-50 club. Throughout this video, we are going to discuss the numerology of this story. We'll talk a lot about the number 55, as well as the number 66, and how these numbers are both coded into this game last night, where the Los Angeles Dodgers completely annihilated the Miami Marlins in Miami, Florida. Now, this video is a bit of a piggyback off of one that Cody made earlier today. You'll find this video linked down below in the description, where he describes the serious riddle that's been invoked through this Shohei Ohtani accomplishment. And it's pretty interesting. Now, on this channel, I talk a lot about the moon, and indeed, there is a strong astrological or astronomical riddle with this event. So what we'll focus on is the numbers and age of Shohei Ohtani, who hit his 50th home run off of pitcher Mike Baumann of the Miami Marlins. And you'll notice that Mike Baumann wears number 55, and that's the pitcher that Shohei joined the 50-50 club off of. But Ohtani wasn't done. After hitting his 50th home run, he also hit his 51st home run off of Vidal Brujan, who is actually a position player. But the Marlins were getting blown out so badly, they figured why not toss him out on the mound for a couple innings to save some of the bullpen. And Brujan, meanwhile, wears number 17. And 17 is the number that Ohtani wears. Now, I've been talking about Shohei Ohtani and the moon for quite some time on this channel. Down below in the description, you'll find more links to previous videos I made. One from just last month, where I decode Shohei Ohtani's entrance into the 40-40 club, which he did with a grand slam, which is a home run that scores 4 runs. Last year, however, at the end of April, which is still the last pro sports game I've ever been to, Shohei Ohtani hit the highest home run in StatCast history with a home run ball that went 162 feet in the air. And they called this a moonshot. The moon, Shohei Ohtani, these two objects are inseparable. For instance, Ohtani hit his moonshot on a date with 57 numerology off of a pitcher named Ray. And the name Ray equals 57. This is a number significant to the moon, which has a 57-degree range of declination from the plane of the sun as it points to the earth. And in the alphabetic order, the word moon has a Gematria value of 57. Gematria, the ancient number lettering system that sits underneath the alphabet, providing a numeric value for every name, word, and phrase. This ordinal cipher then branches off into the base 4 ciphers, where the alphabetic order is either reversed or reduced to produce new ciphers. Now, in regards to this 57, Shohei Ohtani was born on the 5th of July, which in his home nation of Japan is written as 5/7. In the reverse alphabetic order, moon equals 51. And this is the home run total that Shohei Ohtani ended last night's game with. Although he joined the 50-50 club, he hit another one and now sits at 51 total home runs. But this brings us to another cipher called Latin Gematria, or Agrippa's Key. And in this method, which I consistently claim to be the most significant in the study of Gematria, notice how moon sums to 170 in Latin Gematria. Now, in numerology, this represents the number 17, which is on the uniform of both Vidal Brujan and Shohei Ohtani. In fact, the name Shohei in that same Latin method equals 170. Now, Shohei Ohtani went 6 for 6 in last night's game. 3 home runs. Was it 1 or 2 doubles? I think he had 2 doubles and a base hit. So really one of the best individual games in history. Considering the fact that this is the same game he entered the 50-50 club, it probably is the greatest offensive game in history. Of course, this reminds me of a Shawn Green game, which was also against the Milwaukee Brewers here in my home city of Milwaukee. Shawn Green of the Dodgers back in 2002 hit 4 home runs in a game, along with a double and a single for 19 bases, but that's got nothing to do with this video. Let's focus on what Shohei Ohtani accomplished last night. And we'll also look at how this is connected to a pair of Hollywood films. The first one, Angels in the Outfield, which was released the same month that Shohei Ohtani was born. And don't forget, before Ohtani started playing for the Dodgers, he played for their crosstown rival, the Angels. But last night's accomplishment happened in the city of Miami. And in the year 1941, another film from Walter Lang was released called Moon over Miami. And we'll see how this helps us piece together this riddle from last night. We start off with the birthday of Shohei Ohtani. We talked about how this connects to the moon earlier. Well, notice how July 5th leaves 179 days in the year. And in the Latin and standard methods of Gematria, standard numerically identical to Latin, but uses the current 26-letter alphabet. Angels in the Outfield sums to these same digits, 1,079 and 719. And then 10 days later, the film Angels in the Outfield is released. Now, in Gematria, you'll almost never find a word or a name that sums to 10, as it's such a small number. But in numerology, 10 and 100 can be seen as the same. Shohei's nickname is Showtime, which sums to 100 in the reverse order. The film Angels in the Outfield equals 100 in reverse reduction. This film came out 10 days after Shohei Ohtani was born. And the number 10 is strongly linked to the number 55. Again, Shohei joining the 50-50 club, which represents 55 in numerology. 55 is not only the 10th Fibonacci number, but it's also the 10th triangular number. So add every number 1 through 10, you get a sum of 55. These two numbers are strongly linked. And now Shohei, born on the 5th day of the month, is the sole member of the 50-50 club after a home run that he hit off of a pitcher who wears number 55. Might be a little tricky to see here. I had a hard time catching the frame. But yeah, number 55 throwing this ball, Mike Baumann. And Mike Baumann, his birthday, his Gematria, all of this ties together a little bit too well. Notice how the pitcher's name, Mike Baumann, has standard Gematria of 518, which is the same value you get when you write out the name Shohei Ohtani. Furthermore, with capital letters, the name Mike Baumann sums to 206. Capitals mixed the cipher on top of your screen mixes capital letters in with small letters. We also call this the classroom cipher. Well, in the alphabetic order, angels in the outfield equals 206. And wouldn't you know, when the season began here in the year 2024, Mike Baumann was actually a pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels, Shohei's former team, the team that was featured in Disney's Angels in the Outfield. On the date of last night's game, Mike Baumann was a span of 10,603 days old. And in Latin Gematria, the team name, Angels, equals 163. But what about this number, 193? When you write out the name Mike Baumann, notice how you get a sum of 193 in the reverse order. His full name, Michael Thomas Baumann, also gives us a 193 in the alphabetic order. Well, this 193 is a number shared with Shohei Ohtani, whose name equals 193 reverse. Mike Baumann plays for the Miami Marlins, which equals 193. And in standard English gematria, 193 is the sum of the word Angels, the team that both men used to play for. In reverse reduction, Angels also equals 32. And 32 is one of the three numbers that the name Ohtani shares with the star Sirius. And once again, check out Cody's video, which is linked below, to understand more about the intense Sirius connection with Ohtani's 40-40 and 50-50 club. Ohtani and Sirius both have gematria of 67. Well, so does pitcher Mike Baumann, 67 reduction. And measuring from the release date of Angels in the Outfield, which was on July 15th, to the date of last night's game, gives us a span of 67 days. However, there's another intriguing measurement when we check this date span, because if you don't include the end date, you end up with a difference of 66 days from this release date to last night's game. 66. Well, again, Shohei Ohtani having a 6-for-6 night at the plate. Notice how in gematria, the pitcher's name, Baumann, gives us this 66 in the alphabetic order. In the book of Revelation, which is the 66th book of the Bible, the number of the beast is revealed as 666. And look at the phrases in that Bible verse. Here is wisdom, number of the beast, number of a man, and his number is. All of these phrases have a reduction value of 66, either forwards or backwards. This pitcher's name, Michael Thomas Baumann, even sums to 669, which is, of course, an upside-down 6. Well, a lot of people believe that the true number of the beast is actually 616. This is due to recently unearthed manuscripts, Papyrus 115, telling us it's actually 616. Well, think about last night's date, September 19th or 9/19. This is an upside-down 616. Shohei Ohtani was 61 weeks and 6 days old when pitcher Mike Baumann was born. But again, this is all about the moon, as we will see. And The current lunation number is 1,258. Ever since the year 1923, we've been counting every new moon and assigning a new number to it. Well, in the reverse alphabetic order, number of the beast equals 258, just like the lunation number. On the date of last night's game, Shohei Ohtani was exactly 30 years and 11 weeks old. This represents the beast, which sums to 311 in Latin Gematria. And with all of these connections, the moon and the number 666, I'll link this again below, as several years ago I made a presentation exploring how 666 is the ultimate number of the moon. These two things are virtually inseparable. When you write out the number 666, you get a Gematria value of 2083 in Latin, which is very important because these same digits are found in the Latin value of the moon. The moon equals 283. Well, Shohei Ohtani signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers in December of last year. And if you measure from this date to the date of last night's game, you get 283 days, matching the moon. You'll also notice that the moon equals 423. Well, pitcher Mike Baumann was born 423 days after Angels in the Outfield came out. You'll also notice that the moon sums to 90 and 99 in the ordinal methods. This is like an upside down 666. The city of Miami also sums to both 90 and 99. Multiple sources list Moon over Miami's original release date as June 18th of 1941. You can find this on Google. I think IMDb and also Rotten Tomatoes have this date. The initial release date of Moon over Miami. And if you go back one day before Shohei's feat, we find that this movie just turned 999 months old, which of course has the upside down 666. And just think about the release date of that film, 6/18. So you have the 6 here. And then 18 is the sum of 6 plus 6 plus 6. In the alphabetic order, Moon over Miami sums to 162. And this is a huge number to the sport of Major League Baseball, which sums to 162. This is a sport that plays 162 games every season. The word baseball has double gematria of 162, while MLB gives us a 162 in Sumerian gematria. And if you do not include the end date, pitcher Mike Baumann was 10,602 days old. Now remember earlier, I talked about Shohei Ohtani hitting the highest home run in the history of recorded baseball. And that home run was 162 feet high. Well, if you measure from the date he hit that home run to the date he entered the 50-50 club, it was 16 months and 20 days later, giving us yet another 162. The moon is also connected to Mike Baumann for this huge riddle we saw play out last night. Let's check out Mike Baumann's lunar age. And the lunar age is calculated by counting the number of lunar phases that have been completed since that man was born. And here we're looking at the synodic month, the time it takes from new moon to new moon, a little over 29.5 days. Last night, Mike Bauman was exactly 359 lunar phases old. Why does that number stand out? Well, 359 is a prime number divisible only by 1 and itself. And here we see on my website, it's the 72nd prime number. Well, look at the gematria of the film Moon over Miami. In both reduction methods, Moon over Miami sums to 72. Notice how the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers was born in the year 72? Well, in the alphabetic order, Dodgers equals 72. And when Shohei entered the 50-50 club, it was on a date with 72 numerology. 9 plus 19 plus 20 plus 24. Notice how Dodgers also has double gematria of 36, which was the life lesson number for yesterday's game. The moon equals 36. And also, the city of Miami equals 36. And don't forget, the 36th triangular number has 3 sixes. 666. What's also interesting about this is that, I talked about how this connects to Shohei joining the 40-40 club, which also had some significant moon numerology, but if you measure from that date to last night's game, it was 3 weeks and 6 days later. This is also 27 days, and the moon equals 27 as well. So it's like it doesn't end. All of these numbers coded into this game. But to end this video, I want to talk about the skull and bones riddle. That's right. Even the numerology of Yale University is, for some reason, coded into this game. Now, to get there, I want to talk about the lunation that Shohei Ohtani was born under. See this lunation number right here, 884. So after Mike Bauman gave up his 50th home run, Shohei hit number 51 off of Vidal Brujan, who shares his number 17. Well, if you measure between the birthdays of these two pitchers, from Mike Bauman to Vidal Brujan, we find that they were born a span of 884 days apart. Well, again, Shohei Ohtani born under lunation 884. What a nice moon tribute for Shohei in this game. The name Bauman sums to 444 in standard gematria. And the number 444 connects us to the skull and crossbones code. Notice how skull and crossbones, skull and bones 322, skull and crossbones 322. All of these phrases have 444 gematria. But notice how these same three phrases all also have 885 gematria. This matches the lunation number that Angels in the Outfield was released during. That film came out during lunation 885, just 10 days after Shohei was born. Now, the Skull and Bones Society is most identifiable through the number 322. And look at how old Shohei was last night. Exactly 30 years, 2 months, and 2 weeks of age. Vidal Brujan, the infielder who gave up his last home run, was born 3 years, 220 days after Shohei Ohtani. Furthermore, Bruhan was also 223 days after his birthday for this game. Remember last year, in the year 2023, Yale University turned 322 years old. The phrase skull and crossbones equals 223 and 263. Well, last night was the 263rd day in a leap year. Finally, the Skull and Bones Society is also known as the Brotherhood of Death. Now, the Brotherhood of Death has matching gematria with the number of the beast. Number of the beast summing to 724. Just like the Brotherhood of Death. But notice the reverse alphabetic value here. 347. Last night was a span of 347 days after Yale turned 322 days old. The pitcher who gave up Shohei's home run, Michael Thomas Baumann, his full name equals 347. And when Yale had its special anniversary last year, Mike Baumann was 347 lunar phases old. So that'll just about do it. One more thing I wanted to share before I end this video for good is that Mike Baumann was 3 years and 14 days after his debut for last night's game. So check this out. All right, so last night was 1,109 days after Mike Baumann made his major league debut. Now, we all know about these digits, 119, 911, how important those are. But notice the prime number connection here. 1109 is the 186th prime number. This is actually an important number to Shohei. The Dodgers star was born on the 186th day of the year. Meanwhile, the other pitcher, well, infielder turned pitcher for last night's game, notice how his name has ordinal gematria of 186. And this brings us back to Moon Over Miami, the film released on the 18th of June, which is the date written 18/6. So as always, there's always more. But for the sake of this video, we'll put the foot down and stamp it out there. Thanks to everybody for watching. Peace, love, God bless. And we'll talk to you all next time. See ya!